Welcome back to the show. Today we have Cynthia Krantz here. She launched Mezzo Creative LLC in 2019, a boutique branding and marketing agency that specializes in content creation, digital and social media for emerging brands and mid-sized businesses. When she's not running her business, she's a passionate cook, loves all things French, and is mom to two boys, Micah and Levi. And lucky her, she's also happily married to her best friend, Matthew. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Cynthia, I do want to start off by saying I am hoping we're going to focus a little bit on like branding and ads in this episode, because I think that's going to resonate a lot with my audience of women who are just trying to grow a little bit more, scale a little bit more. And I think branding plays a lot into that, and people don't realize how much. Okay. So I'm hoping we are going to talk a little bit about that.
Great.
And for our audience, if you want to build a thriving freelance business using the corporate skills you already have, you've got to check out my Corporate to Contract Core. It's a course where you can use the code podcast and you can get $100 off. So check out the bottom of our show notes to find it. So, Cynthia, if you could tell yourself one thing when you started out on this entrepreneurial journey, what would it be?
It's going to be okay.
Yes, I hear that a lot. It's like, it's going to be okay, or don't be scared, or something like that. But I think, yeah,
it's going to be okay if you surround yourself with good people.
Oh, I like that little extra part. And what do you mean by good people? Like a team, or do you mean your actual support system outside of the business?
Both. So I have a team that, because my time, I realized fairly early on in the business, is not scalable. So I started working with contractors to bring in, but they have been with me now for years. So they are real members of my team, as well as the outside support system of friends and family. If you surround yourself with good people, both in the business and outside the business, it will be okay.
Absolutely. I agree with that. So your business, Mezzo Creative, Mezzo, I used to sing. So that is like the mezzo soprano. It's this.
I'm a classically trained mezzo soprano.
Okay. Oh, okay. So is that where you got your name from then?
Yes. Okay. We tend to be the divas. We sing to the back of the room. Everybody wants you to fill the room. Everybody wants to jam. So I thought to myself, I was coming up with all these different names when I was naming the company. And that goes to the branding, right? It's like, what is your brand? What is your ethos? And I thought to myself, if I'm going to do this, who am I? Because this is going to be about, if I am leading this company, it needs to speak something about me. It needs to talk about what's important to me. And I thought to myself, singing I competitively sang all growing up. And I thought to myself, music is such an enriching experience. It speaks to so many people in different ways, just the way ads do, as well as everybody wants to be at the forefront when they're advertising. And mezzo sopranos want to be on the forefront. Let's be honest. If you are a singer, you know that. And so
yes,
I thought that's good, but we're not mezzo soprano, we're mezzo creative. I thought the creative would kind of add in what we do, so people wouldn't just say, oh, you're just mezzo, but we do just call ourselves mezzo most of the time. I have my mezzo bracelet, but my Tiny Birds project.
That's nice. And I saw at the bottom of your page, there was a lot of like, let's jam, you brought that musical part into it. So I love that you're blending these, your business with your passion, which is so cool. I really, really like that. So talking about that branding a little bit, how should a business create credibility and establish themselves with their brand and their branding?
So it starts off with, first of all, you have to have your name, then you have then you're building your logo and you're building your color palette. Okay. So it's what does your brand look like to people? Branding is about consistency. You will not see purple a lot on Mezzo's page. You will see
it's very black and yellow. I noticed
black, yellow, gray. I am regularly in black, yellow, and gray. Okay. Because I brand myself. Okay. But I chose yellow because my oldest son is the most joyful. He's 8 years old. And at that time he was 4. He's the most joyful human being I have ever been in contact with. On his 7th birthday, I said to Micah, what do you want to do this year? Is there anything you want to accomplish this year? You know, and I'm waiting for him to say, I want to go to Disney, you know? And he says to me, I don't know, mommy. There are so many amazing, wonderful things to do in the world.
Oh,
He's an old soul too. Okay. And I thought to myself, yellow is Micah. He is just rays of sunshine. And so that is a nod to my son in our branding. I went with gray because the gray tones, because it just kind of allows us to have that in our color palette, allows us to use gray fonts as opposed to solid black all the time. So it's a softer black basically. And I'm originally from New York City and we like a lot of black.
yes.
So I weaved myself into the branding of the company as well. Like I made it really personal. And if branding is personal, it will speak to people. People want it to be humanized. Okay. They want your company to be humanized, especially if you're in a small business. But then you need to be consistent. As I said, you're not going to see red. You're not going to see purple. You're going to see gray, yellow, and black on Mezzo's page. And if you see that, you're going to know it's a post from Mezzo. You're going to know it's an ad from Mezzo. You're going to know it's something from Mezzo. And that is called brand identity.
So I have a question here. One of the things I teach in my course is about creating a brand for your business that's going to attract the right people, right? And I talk about how you should go look for your ideal client in that industry that you're trying to attract, and what colors are they using? What are they? Because sometimes there's industries that pretty consistent have like a same kind of color palette. Like you won't see a red when they're all about pastels or something, right? Let's say that. Do you agree with that, or do you disagree, or do you think it should be all about you and you create the brand that you want?
I think it depends. I think that there is, like, if you're in the food industry, you need to be using like reds and yellows because those are the hungry foods, right? I think in a marketing industry, you can get away with doing, like in my industry, I can get away with doing a little bit differently because I'm marketing a service.
You're in the
I'm marketing
creative.
myself.
You're also in the creative industry, which
exactly
could be different than if someone who was wanting to like work with healthcare companies. This is something I talk about. Like if you really, really, really want to work with creatives or food industry or something like that, what are they using? Because then they're going to be used to that and acclimated to that, so that maybe they'll be more attracted to your brand over a competitor.
Exactly. And I think it's important to be able to talk their talk. Okay. So when we work with pharma clients, I can talk to them about ISI, and I can talk to them about indications for their products and things like that. I can talk to them about I can talk to them about healthcare providers and who are the script writers. I actually worked in a clinic for a while, so I have a lot of healthcare background knowledge. Okay. And so I bring that to the healthcare industry when we're advertising for healthcare because I can speak their language. Okay. So I can say to them, hey, your industry is heavily regulated, but this is why, and this is how you speak to a doctor. This is how you speak to a nurse practitioner, and this is how you speak to a medical student. You know, and understanding their nuances. Wherever you're at, you want to be able to understand the nuances of your target audience, right? When I speak to a beauty brand, because we also work with beauty brands, okay, we have to know about their adjacent brands, right? So it's who would be the right partner. We just did a blog that we're going to be producing soon on brand partnerships. That's really great for CPG brands, for beauty brands, okay? And so brand partnerships, who are adjacent brands in a lifestyle, if you are doing luxury hair care, are people buying candles? Are people buying high quality towels? How do we build those brands and marry them together and do a giveaway? Okay. But it's being able to speak their language. It's about speaking the language. And I think what you're talking about with branding is being able to relate and speak the language of your target audience.
What I call it in my course is the reflection, like the reflection branding, because you're reflecting back to them what they want to hear or what they understand, what they see visually all of that, which is what you were saying as well.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So we're talking like when we think about like building a brand, right? You're just starting a business. You're talking about the name, the logo, the color palette. We talk about being consistent, the reflection branding, which we kind of go into. Now, suppose this business is scaling rapidly. When we're looking at a business that's scaling and growing, what should they be keeping in mind when it comes to branding?
When it comes to branding,
Yes. Does it change as you scale and as you grow?
I think it can, if as you diversify your offerings, if you are diversifying your offerings, you need to make sure that they are still within your brand, right? Like, so Mezzo is a social digital marketing agency. We can do design work, we can do it all, but we are a social digital marketing agency. That is our specialty. And so staying in my lane, it's tempting to go and do all the things, okay? But staying in my lane is better for the brand.
Have you ever worked with someone on a rebrand?
Yes. So we have worked on rebrands as Mezzo, and I, as a project manager on the side, have also worked on rebrands.
And what advice do you have for people who want to go through a rebrand?
Know why you're changing and know what you want to get to.
Do you have any good examples for us? Because to me, that's a little, I've never really gone through a complete rebrand, so I don't really.
I think an example would be, we had a real estate client, for example. I mean, Mezzo works with, we run the gamut with businesses because they all need digital and social services, okay? But we had a real estate client who came to us and said, I need to rebrand. And I said to her, why? We've been doing your social media for a while. Why do you need a rebrand? And she said, because my team, I'm shifting from being the broker for all of this area to just focusing on my team and focusing just on myself. Okay. Like she was having a seismic shift in the nature of her business. And she wanted that to speak. She wanted it to be different. And she said, my colors, my branding, all of it was about the brokerage and my team. Now that it's about me as an individual agent, I want it to speak about me as an individual agent and what I bring to the table. I brought all of that to the team and they dictated back to me. It didn't work. It didn't fit. Now I needed to talk about what I bring to the table because she's a very individualized business, right? And she said, I want it to be softer. So she went from like harsh colors, like deep gold, gem tones, whatever, to softer pastel palettes. Okay. I mean, it was dramatic. Okay. She went from bold fonts to script fonts. Okay. We really completely changed it for her and she loved it and she ran with it.
Oh, nice. Nice. But that why has to be very significant.
The why has to be significant. If you're going to do a rebrand, there are times to rebrand where you say, it's time to do a rebrand because we're updating things. We had a luxury real estate client that was saying we need it to be a going concern. So instead of just being the name of the person, we want it to be the last name of the person. Okay. So it's the team as opposed to the person, right? Because we want it to be more of a going concern. We want to expand and make it a team. They kept their logo very, very similarly to what they had previously done because everything was working for them. They just shifted, took out her name, shifted it, made the logo look like what it had looked before. They just changed the wording basically. Because it was working for the team. They just needed to shift it around a little bit. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
so
two differences.
Right. Because it's more like that's like the core is basically staying the same. They're just trying to expand versus the other person who was completely changed the direction and the course of her business.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can do updates without doing full rebrands.
What do you suggest for those? We're going to pivot here a little bit from branding. You mentioned a lot about ads. What do you suggest for those who are going to run ads for the first time, either on Meta? Let's just stick with Meta for now.
Meta. I would say number one, know your audience. You need to target appropriately. Don't target all United States, like targeting appropriately. That's what Mezzo does, is we build a strategy around your target demographic and make sure your content is compelling. Make sure your content is compelling for that target audience. Your budget doesn't have to be big. And maybe the answer is, instead of running an actual ad, is to take a post that's doing well, if you're active on social media, and boost the post for $25. I mean, we're talking, these do not have to be big spends to move the meter, but also look at what you're asking your ad to do. Okay. Are you asking your ad, social media is very top of the funnel. It's very awareness. Are you asking for people to convert before they're even aware that you exist? A lot of people get right?
Yeah, because I've heard a lot about with Meta ads, at least, it takes many months to create a sale. And someone I interviewed in the past was talking about, I think she had a course, but she had someone who saw her ad quite a few times, and then finally signed up for the newsletter list or whatever the freebie was, and then kept seeing her ad, then bought the product and actually didn't use it, and then saw an ad again, and it's, oh my gosh, I have this product. This course, I think I should take this and do, and then all of a sudden became a super fan. But that progression was 8 to 12 months. It was not instantaneous. Hey, I put an ad up, buy my stuff, because a lot of the ads are just creating awareness. Like, sign up for my lead magnet, sign up for this, join our community, whatever it is, before someone is going to make that jump to buy.
Social media is a slow burn. It is a consistent awareness platform that gets people to then consider your product once they have been made aware of it. And then you get conversion. A lot of people think, I'm going to run an ad on social media and people are just going to be converting. That's not the case.
Think about yourself. Like, think about when you're scrolling through Instagram and you see ads, or Facebook. Like, I mean, it takes me, I save it, and then I might see it a little bit longer, and then they come back because I saved it, and so it keeps shoving it down my throat, and then I'm like, oh, maybe. And then I think, so my latest purchase from an ad was a humidifier, a mold-free humidifier. Probably took 4 months from like when I started searching on Google for like, how do I keep humidifiers mold-free? And then it started, sending ads my way. And then all these different products were sending ads my ways for mold-free humidifier. And then finally I like settled on one, and then I kept clicking that one and kept doing more research. 4 to 5 months, I think, before I was like, all right, ad, you got me, I'm buying you.
Right. And that was
pretty fast.
And that's pretty fast. And that's a robust retargeting strategy behind that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was specifically searching for that. Imagine if I wasn't, and then you just start coming into my ad. It's like, no, I don't want you. Or maybe it's so totally different. I was very specific that I wanted this, but it took a while.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. We say it takes about an average of 7 touches in the digital sphere to convert.
7 touches. So does that mean even just like clicking and reading?
That could be a search. That could be an e-newsletter. That could be a banner ad. 7 digital touches.
And then you got to work on that conversion to make it really appealing,
and then
your website. And then it's not just the ad.
It's not just the ad. You have to
compelling. Yeah.
You have to do the whole thing, And I think a lot of people expect a lot from their social ads. It is a great tool when used effectively for the right thing.
I love what you said about it brings awareness. And that's like its number one. Well, not the primary objective, because you do want people to buy stuff, but it is such a big thing to realize you're not going to get that sale right away, because you need people to know who you are first.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So let's move into a little bit about running a business as a woman entrepreneur and having your personal life, right? You have 2 kids with you. What are the kind of hours do you work? Do you have a flexible schedule? Do you work every single day? What does that look like?
I work every day, but I have a very flexible schedule. So I get up every morning. I walk for an hour. I do Pilates twice a week. I drop my kids off at school. I pick them up from school. but I may sign back on. Like last night I had a 6 o'clock meeting with the client.
Mm.
So I may sign back on. I may, when I'm putting them to bed at 7 o'clock, I may be writing emails, checking emails, writing blogs, those kinds of things. Reviewing content calendars that people have put in. Like everything that goes out from Mezzo is a final touch from me, usually.
Mm.
I still have still a small team. We only have 5 people. And I haven't given up full control of everything. I am a bit of a control freak. But my team will tell you that I do not micromanage them. I don't micromanage them. I'm like, get your work done. Get your work done, and I will let you know if it's not done.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my team really appreciates the trust. We're all remote. And they really appreciate the trust that I put in them. But we have 3 status meetings a week. And then we have meetings with clients throughout the week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the meetings are all just shift, which allows me to do things like this. But it also allows me to I had a meeting at the Chamber of Commerce yesterday. I'm on the board of the Huntington Symphony Orchestra.
I saw that. Yes.
Yep. I'm chair of their marketing committee, and I'm second VP of the board. And so it allows me to pitch business. I am part of the bustle of the business, but a lot of my role is the hustle of the business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I keep a flexible schedule to allow me to do all of that.
And so when you have those like 6 p.m. calls or the calls when your kids come back from school, does your husband help with the children and so that you can take a call? How does that work in your personal life?
I have finally hit the ages where I feel like I've made it.
Yes. My daughter's 7 and it's
yes.
and she's coming home in like 30 minutes. And I told her, here's a lunch. If I'm not done with the podcast, here you go. Cause we have break this week. So she is I'm like, oh, this feels so good that I can do that. So I get it. But I have a 2-year-old son who's in daycare today. So I would not be able to do a podcast if he was home.
So you are in the trenches with the 2-year-old.
Yes.
Nobody is shooting at you with the 7-year-old. It's still a bit of a war zone, but we're doing better. No, with 6 and 8, this morning, my 6-year-old overslept. And I go up and I'm waking him up and he's like, Mommy, I'm sleeping. And I was like, buddy, we gotta get up. And I look at my 8-year-old and I said, make some waffles. And he was like, I'm on it, Mommy. This is great. He can use the toaster. We will make it to school on time. So I'm definitely in a better space. 4 years ago, they went to daycare, but it was hard. It was really hard. When I had
then COVID hit, right?
COVID hit, and it was terrible. And I was in New Jersey for 8 weeks with my mom, living at her house. My husband is in healthcare. And so he said to me, you need to go. And so I just took the kids and stayed with my mom, and it was brutal. And New Jersey in April is terrible. And
New Jersey, New York City was hit so hard with COVID in the beginning. Yes. And so it's if your husband's in healthcare too, that's just rough. And you've got the kids and you're running a business and
traumatic. It was traumatic, as everybody has their trauma story from COVID. But now I would say the kids are more self-sufficient, which is great. But last night, my husband came home and he was like, I can watch the kids, whatever. And they're playing video games. And I said, but you have to turn it down. You have to turn it down so I can have my call. I can't have Mario in the background. He's as bad as they are.
Yeah.
And I said, it's Mario. You have to turn it down. But he is helpful. We do a lot of the parenting together now. It wasn't always that way. We do a lot of it now together. So he'll put the kids to bed. I'll take a call, or I'll put the kids to bed and I'll answer emails and stuff like that. So I've been able to do a lot more of that balancing, which is great that I have a partner who can do that. Not everybody has that. Single parents, people who have different jobs, that don't have that opportunity. And as I said, it wasn't always that way for me. So I really feel for them, and I'm in a better place now. And so I'm very blessed.
Yep. I do. I am happy that my 7-year-old, she's pretty hands-on with my 2-year-old, which is helpful sometimes. I take a walk in the morning. This morning, just took a walk with the dog and came back, and I see them at the window waving. But when I left, he was sleeping. So somehow she got him out of the crib. had him at the window waving into me. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. Like
That is great.
she was, when she goes away to my grandparents and stays overnight, and I come back from walking the dog and I hear him crying and my husband's dead asleep. I'm like, oh man, I miss my daughter. She would be on this.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
So you mentioned your team,
Mhm.
which you said they've been with you for quite a long time, which is
Yep.
amazing. What's some advice that you have to create this team that's long lasting, especially remote?
Yeah. Find good people and be good to them. So I found most of my team through my network. I'm pretty plugged into the advertising community because I worked at a large agency. I cut my teeth at JWG in New York when I was in my early 20s. And I knew a bunch of people in that agency and kept in touch with a bunch of people in that agency. As a result, I mentor for other organizations that are bringing people up in the industry. Okay. Through those different opportunities, it's allowed me to reach out to fellow mentors and other people in the industry and say, I'm looking for a kick awesome social media manager. I'm looking for a great designer. I'm looking for a great um, search manager, and if I don't know somebody already who does it, they do.
Hmm.
So I already start with one degree of separation of the people that I'm working with, which builds trust.
Hmm.
Nobody in my team just walked into my office off the streets.
So you
They
didn't have to do
all
that like cold job description and put that out
know
there, et cetera. Yeah.
they are all 100% from my network. And so that builds trust, it builds reliability. It also gives them something to lose because they were referred by a friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they want to look good. It is I have an opportunity because somebody pitched me forward for it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the responsibility to be good to them. So we are a business that um, pays hourly. Okay. They're hourly contractors. Okay. But they know when they send me their invoice, they will get paid within 2 hours.
Mm.
I don't pay every 30 days for my contractors. I pay them on the spot. That makes a difference to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, they also know that usually at least once or twice a year, they will get a bonus. Okay. For if they've stayed with me for a certain period of time, they get a bonus. Okay. As well as just sometimes I do bonuses like, hey, it's February and I want you to feel the love. So here's a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
I come up with reasons to do stuff like that because they are part of the gig economy. Okay. But that has allowed them to stay with me and want to work with me longer.
Mm.
And it's not all about money. Some of it is about flexibility and respecting their time. As I said, I am not a micromanager. I trust them and it's mutual. They trust me to be out hustling the business. I trust them to be getting the work done.
Mm.
There's a
I like
lot
that.
of respect in my team. I know that my team is the best at what they do. They're phenomenal. And they know that I know that. And they know that I appreciate their skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I advocate for them with our clients. And, clients will come back and say, hey, can we do such and such? And I'll write back and then I'll say, that's not in the scope of work. We can do this. I don't just come to them and say, looks like you have more on your plate today.
Yeah. That's great. And I think a lot of people who become freelancers, the reason they become a freelancer is to get more flexibility in time. So when you have a client that you're working for, like yourself, and all of a sudden you're, feeling hemmed in again, and there's so much responsibility, it can make you want to quit or just leave the client. So to hear you say, I respect their flexibility and their time as well, I think that's great, for lack of a
100%,
better word.
100%, 100%. And I respect that they have lives.
Yeah. Yeah,
you
they're
know?
not an employee. And I think that's important for our
No,
audience to realize as well. If you listen to past episodes, the people who've hired employees want those people who are 100% completely devoted to their business and who are going to be available during certain hours. Because when you hire an employee, you can dictate that.
right.
You are their employer. But if you're hiring subcontractors, you need to realize and maybe have a discussion with them up front. What are the hours that you generally work? When are you more available? When can you do calls? Because it's a mutually like symbiotic relationship when you have a subcontractor. It's not really like that employer-employee dynamic.
Totally. And legally, you are not allowed to dictate those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be conscious of that. There are a lot of people who cross that line. I'm not interested in crossing that line. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I have had interns in the past. Okay. My interns either get class credit or they get paid. I do not do free internships. A workman is worth his hire.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now I don't have any interns. I had one in the fall. I don't have any interns right now because I said, I'm not in a place where I want to take hours from my team to give I don't want to financially invest in somebody right now, but and I have other projects that I want to focus on. Okay. But also, that by the time I got around to thinking, oh, I want an intern, they weren't going to be able to take class credit. And I thought, I'm not going to just offer somebody a free internship. And I have people that bang down my door and say, I'll do it for free. I'll do it for free. And I said, that's not the way it works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Free internships can be a sticky legal wicket as well. And so I try and be very cognizant of all that stuff.
Good for you. Because I think there's plenty of people who'd be like, oh, you want to work for me for free? Absolutely.
Totally,
I'll
come
use you.
volunteer in my office, you know? And I also tell my interns, like, it should not be virtual coffee fetching.
What
You
would
should
that
learn
even look
something.
like?
You know, like manage my Google Calendar, you know,
Yeah,
only, you
okay.
know, or whatever. Like it should be like you should be learning skills. You should be gleaning skills. You should be growing here. You should be contributing here. And I should be contributing to you. I should be teaching you things.
Mm.
And if I don't have the time to teach somebody adequately, then then I'm not going to take on an intern, you know?
You know, that's interesting you say that about internships because I think we can forget about that. And I actually went through this last year, 2023. My friend was like, oh, you should post on the internship board at our college, you know, see if we can get an internship. But I realized that all the things I wanted were things I didn't know how to do. And I said, how
Right.
would this be an internship? What are they going to learn from me? Because the point of an internship is that you're learning from whoever you are being employed by or working for, whatever it is, you know, you're supposed to be learning from them.
I love
And
that you recognize that.
I know, and I still struggle with it because I'm like, this is a good idea. Yes, I should have an intern, but everything I need help in is stuff I don't know right now.
Right.
So it's not worth it.
Right.
Worth it.
Right.
So let's talk about a little bit. You're managing a team of 5 people, you said, subcontractors. You also got this like flexible schedule for the most part. What are some effective time management techniques that you can share with other women entrepreneurs?
Well, we have our status meetings. So we do have 15 to 30-minute meetings 3 times a week. Checking in with your team is really important. And there are members of the team that don't need to be on all those calls. Okay. So sometimes it's like, just be on the Monday call.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the rest of the calls are for more engaged members of the team. Okay. There are members of the team that are not on the calls at all. And they're periphery members of the team, but they are the go-to person that is part of the team, right? Like our designer doesn't need to be on every call because if we're not doing design work, then why would they be on the call? You know? Mm-hmm. But then there's also, for me personally, I use Google Calendar. I have everything in there. And I have reminders all day long for myself. I am the kind of person who, if it doesn't go off at the 30-minute mark and at the 10-minute mark, I will just completely not show up. I will space out. I will forget to pick up my children. You know, like that is me. And I know that about myself. So I do that. There are people who need to write it down in a book. Okay. And that helps them manage their time. That helps them, you know, But this allows me to look at my calendar, and I am constantly looking at my calendar and checking my calendar and making sure that I'm not overbooking myself, making sure that I am where I need to be when I need to be. It's pinging me all the time to get me where I need to be. But the other thing is I am a timer setter. Okay. 15 minutes. Set a timer for 10 to 15 minutes and say, I'm going to start a task I don't want to start. I'm going to invest in something I don't want to invest in, or I'm going to do something I really want to do. You know, it's a beautiful day. I'm going to take a walk for 15 minutes. That's like, we're going to do it now, but I only have 15 minutes. So I'm going to take 15 minutes. And I'm going to do it. I really don't want to. I mean, people think that when you work remotely, that the laundry magically gets done all the time. It doesn't. I'm like, I'm working, but at the same time, I'm also a mom and a wife. And like, my husband does laundry, but I also do laundry. Like we all have clothes, and we have 2 children. Okay. Like, I don't have live-in help. Somebody needs to do the laundry.
Oh yes. I
So
just
set a
finished a load before I got on this.
So I set a timer for 15 minutes, and I'm like, looks like I'm doing the laundry for the next 15 minutes. So I set timers for myself.
I like that. And I've been hearing that actually more and more consistently. The last guest I had on had a little block. She showed it, and you would turn it over for 30, 15 or 5 minutes, whatever you wanted. Cool. And it would just go on your desk, and then it would beep. And that's how she got the stuff that she didn't want to do done, because she knew she would just procrastinate and procrastinate. And she was like, you know what? If I just start it, it's going to feel so much better. So she would put that timer on. And when that was done, she could say, nope, no more today.
100%.
Task, but no more today. Yep.
Yes.
And I love what you say about like, know yourself. Like, you know, the Google Calendar is important for you. I recently pulled on a new team member. She was like, you know, how do you stick to your deadlines? Because you're not following my Trello board. She didn't say that, but she was kind of understood that I was not following her Trello board of deadlines. And I really had to think about it, because she was like, you said you use Asana. And I was like, yeah, but that's more like a brain dump. I don't follow those deadlines either. I don't pay attention. And then I realized I hate inbox. Like, I love inbox zero. I hate when emails aren't read. So what I've been doing for myself for years, I've been putting calendar appointments like you do. Like, if it's something I need to have done, but I have the notification set to an email. So then I hate that email sitting there unread saying I need to do that. And that's how I get it done. Because if I see that unread email, it just really bothers me. Maybe it's like a little OCD. And so that is how I get the assignments done. And it took me like 3 days to realize. I was like, no, I mean, I can use Asana, yeah, but I don't really follow those deadlines either. But I told her, if you need me to get something done and it's that urgent, send it as an invite to my calendar with the email reminder, not the notification pop-up, because I will ignore that and it will go away from my phone.
My mouth is agape. I currently have like 30,000 unread emails.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
I'm like, what does that feel like? What is that? And I am constantly deleting, and I can't get to the bottom of it. It's like I've let it go too much, and I'm Sisyphus just pushing it up the hill.
Yep. You know what? We're talking about that. I said, you know, there's people who are either like, I need my inbox to be zero all the time. That's me. And then there are people who are like 16,000, 20,000, whatever. Like, it's what it is. And I get
alerts from Google that are like, your email is too full. You are about to run out of storage. And I'm like, shoot, I got to go through promotions, and I got to go through social and delete so that way I can keep my emails. It's like, I use my email like a search engine. Like, I go in there and I search for things. I search for old emails. I have every email that my husband ever sent me.
Oh, I love that.
Which is super cute. But like, I also formatted them when we were dating. We dated long distance for 5 years. Okay. Wow. And I took every email, every e-card, every newsletter, anything that he sent me via email, and I put it in a book. Okay. And had it bound and everything like that. It was 500 pages. I mean, we wrote a lot of emails. Okay. Every email that he sent me, that I sent him, it was the good, bad, and ugly of our relationship. And I said, this is our story. This is how we got to where we are. And I gave it to him for our 5th anniversary. And I still haven't deleted those emails. And I'm like, but we have them
in a book. I love it. My husband actually did that for our first year anniversary.
That's really sweet.
I was in college, and he was working full time. And so it wasn't like completely long distance. Like we saw each other every weekend, pretty much, or every other weekend. But he printed all the emails and he put them in a little bound spiral notebook.
I love that.
It's so sweet. And I actually have not read it recently. It's been a while, but it is really cute. I should read it again.
That's awesome.
So real quick, I want to know, when you're, making your money as a business owner, you're also spending money as a business owner. What do you think has been your best and worst investments with your business money?
Probably 3 things really worth spending on. Okay. One is spending on your people. Like if you can give them that extra nod, do it. If you can give them a bonus, do it. Your people work hard for you. Let them know that you appreciate them. And everybody appreciates, whether it be give them a gift card, whether it be give them a bonus, whatever it is, like send them a gift. Spend money on your people. Don't be stingy. Okay. It is a job, but like they spend a lot of time with you. Let them know you value them as people. And you will reap what you sow. The other thing is I would say spend money on your business, on strategizing on your business. Okay. So Mezzo is currently going through that strategy side of like, how do we reach out? What do we want to do? We are rehoning ourselves. And so I'm investing in that. Whether it be through ads or whether it be through design work or whatever, it's strategize the strategy side of the business. Okay. And then spend a little money on yourself. Like, you hear that, like, pay yourself first. Like you are worth paying yourself. And there may be times where you say, I've got to pay myself less, or I've got to I need to not take a salary for a little while or whatever. As you're growing your business, there are always going to be hard calls, but compensate yourself for your time.
That was one of the first lessons I learned, actually, before I even had clients. My business, it was like, pay yourself. Make sure you always pay yourself as soon as you get money. And that always stuck in my head, so I've always done that. And I thank God, like I hear about people who are like, oh, I went without paying myself for like a year or something. Just how I went without paying myself maybe 1 or 2 months in the past 10 years.
Right.
And that was because I invested in myself, in something like a coach who was very expensive. And I knew in order to pay my team, in order to pay everything to keep the business going, I had to take a cut to invest in this coach.
Exactly.
So again, it was like something for myself.
Exactly. If I'm taking a cut, it's because I'm investing elsewhere. It's not because it's not because there isn't any money.
Yeah.
Right. And then places that I don't think are good places to spend. Don't spend your business money on personal things.
Yes.
But people do that all the time, and it's not a good idea. It gets you in trouble. And don't spend your money when you don't have a strategy.
Yeah.
A lot of people think like, I'm just getting to Google Ads. Do you not have a strategy? I'm just going to spend money on Meta. Do you not have a strategy? Do you know what your goal is? As we talked about before, what is your goal for the ad? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? How do you want to get there? Because if you don't know what the ultimate goal is and what the ultimate end is, or what your KPIs are, then you don't even know if the ad has been successful. Are you spending money on a rebrand that you don't need? Are you spending money on a product that people don't actually want to buy?
Yeah, good questions for people to think about. That's why you help them. Yeah. All right, let's see. I would like to talk briefly about, what advice do you have for women as they're trying to grow their own business and scale their own business? And why do you think some women aren't able to and they hit roadblocks?
We try to do it all alone.
Mhm.
We want to do it all ourselves. We've been told, number one, that you can have it all and that you can have it all. And the answer is we can have it all collectively if we work together, if you lean on other people, if you work with other people. I'm a big fan of collaboration. I'm a big fan of networking. I'm a big fan of finding partnerships in the industry.
Mm.
Your time is not scalable. So build a team that is. And we are afraid of rejection, I think, as women. We often apologize too often. You will rarely hear me apologize. I will own mistakes, but you will rarely hear me apologize. People don't want an apology. They want you to fix the problem. If you are really wrong or you have really wronged someone, own it. Say you're sorry. Okay. But if you made a mistake, fix it. Don't apologize to the nth degree. And women do that to themselves and it degrades us. I'm sorry,
You
I'm
know
a
what?
bother. I'm sorry,
Yeah, yeah. This
right?
reminds me, I just had a thought yesterday that I was going to bring up at dinner with my daughter, but she sometimes gets into that I'm sorry thing. I don't know where she learned it, society, whatever. Um, but I wanted to tell her, it's okay to apologize if you think you've done something. If you made a mistake, you should apologize. But the next thing in your mind should be, how do I make it better? Because that's gonna make you, I don't want to say more employable to a 7-year-old, but like that's gonna make you just a better person. Like
100%.
I've wronged someone, I'm sorry. I've made a mistake, I'm sorry. How can I make it better? That should be your next thought.
100%.
And that's how I got to bring it up tonight for dinner. Yeah.
100%. You know? Um, and I think that we, between apologizing too much and between not leaning on other people, wanting to do it all on our own, as well as, I just had this idea and it totally evaporated from my mind. I think just the sense of self-worth isn't always there, of putting yourself forward. We come up with reasons that people will say no. Make them say no.
Hmm.
And then no can be an opportunity for, well, why not? And then why not turns into a eventual yes, maybe. Okay. Or why not makes you come back and think, probably I need to rework that so it can be a yes later. But we often are saying they wouldn't want that. They already have somebody, they've got their people, as opposed to saying, just ask. Make them say no. You're saying no for them. Don't negotiate against yourself. And then
I
apologize
sometimes,
for it.
yeah, no, I sometimes go through that in my own head. I will be like, well, I don't know why they would need to buy the coaching services from me. They could figure it out all online if they spent hours and hours and if they wanted to do that. And the whole point is you're helping them save those hours. So stop saying that to yourself. But like, I do sometimes get into that little spiral of like, oh, I don't know. I guess they wouldn't need to work with me.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Why does our brain do that? Yeah. Anyway, Cynthia, this has been a fabulous conversation. Please tell our audience, where can they find you? And if they want to connect with you, talk about anything on the show, what's the best place to reach you?
mezzocreative.com, at Mezzo Creative, Mezzo Creative on Instagram, or you can email contact@mezzocreative.com.
Great.
And then this has been awesome.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it. So what is one philosophy, mantra, or quote you try to run your business by?
Be somebody who delivers. Be somebody who
Yes.
delivers for your business, for your people, for your friends, for your family. Be somebody who delivers. If you are
Absolutely.
reliable and you are the person that people can lean to and people can come to, then you will grow both as a person as well as a business.
Fabulous. I love that. I love it. So thank you so much again for joining me on this interview, Cynthia. And if you're part of our audience and you found this informative and valuable and you really liked what Cynthia said, because I did, please share it with your friends and your family. Help us grow the podcast. Until next time, you can find me on LinkedIn or tag me on Instagram at the Kiri Mohan if you want to discuss anything from this episode. So again, thank you so much, Cynthia.
Thank you.